My name is Kim Ottley. I'm Vice President of Public Policy for the Chamber of Commerce of Southwest Indiana. Today I have the pleasure of interviewing Alan Leibundguth, who is candidate seeking election for the office of State Representative to the Indiana General Assembly. Please note that the same set of questions will be used for both candidates running for this office. Welcome, Alan.
Well, thank you, Kim. I'm glad to be here today.
We're glad to have you. All right, let's get started. Please state your name, office you're seeking, and your current position or employment.
I am Alan Leibundguth. I'm the candidate for Indiana State Representative, District 77. That district comprises most of southeast and southwest Evansville. Geographically speaking, south of the Lloyd from about Burkhart Road to the downtown area of the river, about where we are right here. There are a few precincts that are north, but generally the bulk of the population lives up in that area, southeast and southwest Evansville. My background is military, ministry, and education, and I'm proudly served as a veteran, and I want to serve in the community here in the state legislative position before me.
Great. If elected, what would be your top 3 priorities, and how would you seek to fund and implement those priorities while serving in the state legislature?
I think I'm proud of what Governor Mitch and the legislature have done so far with the budget. Mitch inherited an $8 million deficit, has turned it into a $2.2 billion surplus. That's very good news. As everyone is aware, there's been strong conservative leadership as of the 2010 election, so I think the direction Indiana's headed is very positive. For priorities then, I think financially speaking, when you get a state that is well off financially, as in a household, as in a state, we're doing well. There's lots of, you give yourself a lot of wiggle room, so obviously a high priority, if not number one, is the budget. The financial aspect is going to be very key. So that would be to balance the budget with no new taxes. I believe there's a lot of opportunity to use surplus money, plus find ways to redirect other funds in the budget in order to meet the needs that are before us. Job growth would be number 2 in Southwest Indiana, and that would be making sure that the economic conditions are favorable to business growth. Right now, small business across America employs about 75% of workers, so it's key that we continue to think about small business like the Chamber does to promote positive things that are going to encourage these businesses to move forward. And the third is I-69. It's been not discussed, I suppose, as much lately as it has in the past, but this is a fantastic opportunity for commerce to come to the area, and it really is a global project. It's, I think from what my own thinking, I suppose, and in the local area, we've been looking at this road as a high-speed route to Indianapolis. That's not all it is. It's a great commerce route from Detroit to the Panama Canal. So that project is critical to get it completed, and that includes the bridge across the Ohio River.
Do you support the Kernan-Shepard initiative? Please explain your answer.
Governments are delicate things, aren't they? With Kernan-Shepard, if I understand it the right way, we're dealing with echelonment and control. Township government is really prominent in the areas that we are in. So we've got township governments, county governments, city governments all vying for the same amount of tax dollars, and people expecting services to be delivered to them with the use of those tax dollars. We can't use a one-size-fits-all approach. All of us are different. Counties from north state through south state, we all have our different ideas and opinions, including time zone, which Governor Mitch started that when he entered his term as governor. I think it's still a good idea to talk about that, but we see how people hold on to their ideas and values, and that's one issue with Kernan-Shepard is the township government, people are used to it, they're used to the way it operates, but yet there's a lot of redundancy and there could be cheaper ways to do this. I like the idea that this, Kernan Shepherd opens the door to discuss possibilities to reorganize. It doesn't mandate anything, but encourages governments to at least begin the process. Maybe a time value needs to be put on this to where counties can respond by a designated date that a plan is put forward, and when state help is needed, we can certainly do that. The tax dollars are the important thing here. Voters need to approve whatever changes will be taking place, so there'll be a lot of selling taking place about any restructuring. As we know, right now in Vanderbilt County, we're looking at the unification issues and whether or not voters will side on the side for bigger government, consolidated government or not. That will be decided here pretty quick on. But the Kernan Shepherd at least opens the door for discussions on that.
Okay. During the next session of the General Assembly, legislators will be tasked with writing a new budget. What priorities would you advocate in this process? If a budget increase is needed, what taxes would you increase or what budget cuts would you propose?
Well, as I mentioned, budget is a very high, if not #1 priority for me. With a master's degree in business administration, I think I've got a really sufficient background to be able to approach this. Having managed in churches as a business administrator, the process is quite different than a state level. But yet, comment again that we're writing right now as the envy of the states in the USA, and that's an enviable position to be in. Indiana's probably number 7, number 8, I think, all across America, financially speaking. A lot of states are looking here, wanting to model what we're doing. So we do have surplus funds. What are we going to do with those funds? Well, again, balance the budget with no new taxes and pay down the debts that we have. That's always an important thing to do, whether you're looking at your own family budget or on a state level. We've got unfunded liabilities that need to be taken care of, and we've got budgetary deficits that we've got to take a look at first. So before we charge on ahead and think we need to start new programs, I think serious looks need to be steps taken to clear budget and deficit. I've not obviously been there at the state level to work a budget, but I'm just going to guess on a regular process that the new governor and Speaker Bosma will be together to discuss a lot of ideas among those two, and we'll have a lot of legislative input as well as governor input into the process. So what I imagine is going to happen is at the opening of session, Speaker will bring forward a list of prioritized items and things for legislators to consider. Beyond that, I'm quite sure legislators will be talking to one another. So there's going to be a lot of opportunity for getting feedback, I think is the word I'm looking for. I'm going to need a lot of feedback to know where to begin the process to begin with. But I think for me, from the position I'm in right now as a freshman legislator, I'm going to insist that the budget has to balance, that we strongly lead to paying down current debt and unfunded liabilities, and third, we need to look for any areas of wasteful spending and redundancies in government and department functions. Whatever the outcome, I'll be looking to see that the budget has to promote business growth. That's a key thing. So I know a lot of priorities will be put forward, but business growth is going to be key, and it can't hamper anything that's currently in the mill for Interstate 69 development. A new budget must not include anything having to do with existing health care options or people's family care needs. I think stability is the rule right now. We don't need a lot of change. We already had too much of that. So stability in those areas I think would be important. Whatever those issues might be, Hoosiers need to know that the basic family structure, the core, is going to be taken care of. And then that also means, as a new freshman legislator, there's going to be a lot of special interest groups approaching me wanting to know about increasing the size of their budgets. I'll have to be aware of that. The word no, I think, will come in very handy at that point. And we'd like to do a lot to help a lot of people, but face it, the budget is only so big, and there are serious infrastructure problems and other state level problems to handle, I think, before we can increase current budget. So all these will be needed to be looked at. But I would be in favor and against raising taxes. That would be the last option that I would consider before we would cut spending and restructure existing monies in order to make things work out.
What do you consider to be the top transportation and infrastructure priorities for Southwest Indiana, and what plans do you have for funding them?
I was really encouraged by attending the MAP briefing last week with Congressman Bouchon, and it made me aware of the transportation issues that face us. They're really global. Perhaps I commented earlier, this Interstate 69 that was drafted really in the 50s with the Eisenhower administration for the country's overall interstate program. Interstate 69 has been on the back burner all these years. We're finally going to see it happen. But we need a warm water port that's closer than Long Beach, California. I can understand very clearly now transportation costs to get goods and services to and from the West Coast. Long Beach is a huge port, but yet the shipping costs on rail and truck from the West Coast is getting to be out of control, and businesses are having a hard time trying to be competitive with that. So I think Interstate 69 on transportation issues is very, very high on the list. It's called the MAP 21 program, by the way, for references. A 2-year bill. He was striving for a 5-year bill on that, and that's to strengthen the process of federal approvals, to streamline the go-aheads, to eliminate government redundancies and waiting and stalling, but actually move the process forward so we can get transportation needs taken care of. It's a $105 billion bill that's not supposed to impact the budget right now, and I don't think it's going to impact Indiana at all as far as monetary needs. So the transportation costs, as I said or alluded to, have risen from about 2% to 12%. So we really have to seriously look at that with the cost of fuel, with the condition of our roadways, with our making sure that our river stays open. It's been on the news, the choke point on the Mississippi River, where all river traffic had to come to a standstill because you didn't have enough the dredging was needed in order to open that lane. But here we have a natural condition that caused even commerce to come to a standstill. So I think making sure that our riverways are really good and we keep our goods and supplies flowing down the Ohio River. Evansville is really particularly blessed with that. We've got a river, we've got great railroad access, and we're about to have the great roadway access with that too, with Interstate 69 being completed. So for infrastructure costs though, the next phase in this, or step in this, is making sure that the bridge is completed, a two-state effort with Indiana and Kentucky, in order to move these goods and services over the Ohio River and get them moving southward toward our warm water ports in Houston and in New Orleans. Private financing may be needed. In that case, let's explore the options. Of course, we've got bond issues and short-term loans and things like that that could be used for infrastructure issues. Finally, the aging highway issue, I kind of alluded to that. A lot of our roads need serious repair, upgrading, updating, and our farm roads, let's not leave those out either, but we have a lot of commerce that takes place in agriculture in Indiana. We do not want to let Indiana's corn and soybean reserves take a back seat to anybody. We are the nation leader in corn and soybeans, so let's keep that agriculture side moving where the farm communities need help to make sure that they're not impeded by road conditions. Let's go ahead and consider state funding to help them out.
Okay. This is a little repetitive, but what would you do to encourage the construction of the I-69 bridge over the Ohio River, but between Evansville and Henderson?
Voters right now are not that keenly aware of what's taking place. I'm quite sure they've heard about the plan, but I think we need to sell it, do a better job of selling it as a global project, not just a high-speed route to Indianapolis. So I think we'll give them a big picture look, and I think infomercial or something to start advertising, let people know how very, very important this is. the Kentucky Bridge right now, the one to Henderson, is not going to suffice for the traffic we need. We don't need to take heavy traffic through downtown areas as in 41 and Henderson. We need a complete new route around Henderson to connect to the Pennyrile South and pick up Interstate 69. So I think to encourage the construction, keep moving forward. Don't let legislative processes get in the way. Make sure the money's there and tell the people what's going on and why it's important. I think we'll get everybody on board.
Okay. Government does not create jobs, but does create conditions that make additional jobs more or less likely. What conditions or economic development tools would you like to see improved upon or added in order to stimulate economic growth, create jobs, and retain current employers in Southwest Indiana?
Well, the White House certainly disagrees with that statement. They think that they're there to create jobs. They've got it all wrong, and people are frustrated. The fact that the economy's stagnant and the federal government's giving no definite projections in sight for how to grow the economy. But Indiana, as we've talked about, already ranks in the top 6, 7, 8 states nationwide for job creation, #1 in the Midwest. Large industry is now starting to look more favorably at Indiana, especially with the passage of right-to-work legislation. So we need to keep those avenues free and clear. We need to spend as much time as we can talking to business to try to find out what type of environments and needs they have to make sure that we orient our legislative thinking to promote their growth and get them to land in Indiana and open doors for business. So listening to our large industries and to our small job creators, our small business, is going to be very important too. Business owners have great ideas, and trying to incorporate some of those ideas on a state level would be very important. And then making the best use of services like Chamber of Commerce and Economic Development Commission. That's what you do. You spend a good deal of your energy every day just trying to explore ways to make these communities thrive in a better way. I think making better offers to have companies relocate by using existing buildings. I'm not that familiar with the dinosaur legislation that I think Representative Crouch put through, but we've got a lot of opportunities with existing buildings all around Evansville. If there's ways that we can cut some very good deals to have businesses relocate without building brand new structures, I'd prefer that. I would prefer seeing businesses come into areas where there's already a lot of vacant properties, available housing, and close population, where we don't need to worry about transportation. Folks having to up and drive 5, 10, 15 miles to a workplace when we've got it right here in the downtown. But that's going to require us to take a look at city roads too, and the truck routes in and out of areas. I don't like the idea of mixing heavy truck traffic with smaller automobiles, so that would have to be looked at too. Families that relocate to the areas are wanting good deals on schools. So our school choice program with vouchers and with charter schools, merit pay for Indiana's teachers. If a family is going to come to Evansville, Southern Indiana, Vanderbilt County, we need to make sure our school systems are going to offer the kind of things that they're looking for, from elementary education all the way through our college levels. So, and families are going to stay in Evansville once they get here if they feel like we're getting value. So that is important for our city and county governments to make sure that Evansville thrives as a city, from parks to amenities to concerts and the like. All these things work in concert to help make sure that we not only create the jobs, we keep them here, but we keep the families here too. We want to make people really want to live here.
Okay. Substance abuse, particularly methamphetamine abuse, is a costly community problem in terms of law enforcement, crime, judicial incarceration, fire hazard, environmental concerns, child care, health care, and other expenditures. What changes in the approach to this problem would you suggest, and how would you fund any new strategies?
Well, I like what's been done already. Primarily, it's leadership from the mayor on down through the county have identified this as a major problem. But I still think this is a city-county problem, And I'd rather leave this issue with city-county officials rather than having the state come in to try to handle it. But on a state level, if it is approved that the issues with pseudoephedrine being able to purchase over the counter without a prescription, if that's the way that would help cities and counties across the state to handle this problem, then I would be in favor of agreeing with legislation on a short-term basis that would make pseudoephedrine and other products like that a prescription drug. It is methamphetamine is a problem. I think our law enforcement agencies are staying abreast of it, and we're doing, I suppose, a pretty good job on maintaining that issue and the effectiveness of it and keeping those problems at bay.
Okay. Finally, you've addressed some of this already in our conversation, but what is your long-term vision for Southwest Indiana, and what specific ideas or proposals would you suggest to improve the quality of life in our region?
Well, a lot of these issues pertinent to southwestern Indiana have to do with city-county government. As we talk to the people now in the neighborhoods, people are hurting. This federal economy has really hurt a lot of folks, and I sense that people are really anxious about the next 2 years. Will I have a job in 2 years? What will happen to my health care? What will, I mean, the price of gasoline continues to go up, groceries continue to go up. Are we ever going to find stability? Will the prices ever come down? People are really concerned. So we've got to solve the problems on a federal level, and let people know that that there is hope for economic stability and reversal, that jobs are on the way, that that net spendable income, disposable income in each family is going to be coming forth with. I want to be a good legislator. I want to be able to approach ideas I will approach them from a conservative point of view. I'm a conservative. I'm running as a conservative. But I do like to talk to people. I like to find out different ideas, so I am open. From a church community, that's what I had to do for years, is be able to blend different ideas. And from California, Nevada, Indiana, military life gave me a lot of exposure with working with different people groups. So I welcome that opportunity to explore that and look to that and help people out that if they send me to Indianapolis, I'll be working hard for them to try to effect clear solutions. And when my voting record is put forward, unlike my opponent, I think that the Chamber of Indiana will say that he's done a good job.
Well, Alan, we greatly appreciate your time today. If you have a campaign website or contact information that you'd like to share, please do so now.
I have a web page at www.alanleibundguth.com or .net. Either one will work. And the trick is just being able to spell the last name. So there's a Facebook with that too. Leibundguth for Representative Facebook. Again, alanleibundguth.com. We've got a lot of literature out there, so keep looking. You'll find the right spelling.
All right, thanks again for your participation.
Thank you, Ken.
For our viewers, this interview and all of the candidate interviews conducted by the Chamber of Commerce of Southwest Indiana will be accessible on the Chamber's website at www.ccswin.com. Please note that the content of this video interview and all the candidate interviews are only for authorized use by the Chamber of Commerce of Southwest Indiana.